IS-456-2000. Last lecture, we discussed about the overview of IS-456-2000. There we have seen that Section 1 deals with the symbols, Section 2 deals with the materials and workmanship, Section 3 deals with the your various design consideration, Section 4 is basically for advanced special design requirement. You can see the advanced portion because deep beam, hollow section, flat slab, that you can say in advanced reinforced concrete design. Section 5 deals with the limestone method. Here, if you want to see what are the assumptions are there in the limestone method, what is the limit state of call-outs, what is the limit state of serviceability, we will get in the section 5. There you also will find some factor of partial factor, safety factor, characteristic load, design value, all the definition are there. And thereafter we have annexure. Annexure B deals with the working stress method, and C deals with the deflection. Annexure D deals with the slab spanning in two directions. So annexure D deal with the two-way slab, E for effective length of the column, and annexure F for calculation of crack width, and G is for moment resistance. So in overall you can see that section 1 it deals with the symbols only. Important part is the symbol. Section 2 is material. In today's class we will discuss in more details about the various part of section 2. Section 1, see this is the symbol. So if you have doubt about the various symbol used in the equation in different section or different clause, you have to come in the section 1. In today's class we will discuss about the material, workmanship, inspection and testing. Okay, we will go through one by one and we will see what is the IS code recommendation is there and what for it is there, what is the importance. So basically we will discuss the important features of the section 2. Okay, in today's class we will discuss about the important features of the section 2. The section 2 first part is the cement. So here we will find there is a different quality of cement is there. Different quality of cement in the sense 33 grade, 43 grade, 53 grade. So this 3 grade is basically based on your compressive strength of the cement. You see the grade 33, 43 and 53 on the grade of ordinary Portland cement. Ordinary Portland cement, here the Portland cement term is come from that one island near the English Channel. In 1824, Joseph Absdin first developed and patented that cement. Okay, he basically developed from the limestone, and he used the term Portland cement because it has a similarity of Portland stone, that one stone basically which is available in the Isle of Portland, one small island near the Portland. And when basically that cement is have that, or you can the Portland cement have the similarity with the stone quarried from the Isle of Portland. What happened? Portland cement was first produced by heating of limestone with a mixed with clay in a furnace and grinding the resulting clinker into the powder. So first they have Portland cement was first produced by heating the limestone mixed with a clay in a furnace and then grinding it and make the clinker. But his son William Absdin improved that quality of the cement. He used various heating and crushing technique or grinding technique. He developed various equipment and to have better quality of cement. And for the same reason, William Absdin is considered to be the inventor of modern Portland cement. Okay, so this is a brief history of your Portland cement. So Portland cement, the term Portland is near the English Channel of England, and Joseph Epstein first used the term of Portland cement. From there, the name came Portland cement. So this 3 grade is basically based on your compressive strength of the cement. Thereafter, it also include rapid hardening cement, Portland slag cement, Portland pozzolana cement, Portland pozzolanic cement, and low heat cement, sulfate resistant cement. So basically, for basic design purpose, we should consider 33, 43, 53 grade. Okay, 53 is basically high strength concrete. For high strength concrete, we will use. Okay, for our basic for RC design basic course beginner, 33 and 43 is enough. So how we are determining 33 grade or 43 grade? What happen here? We add sand with the cement. So that the ratio of cement and the sand is the ratio of cement and the sand is 1:3. So if you add 200 gram of cement, then you have to add 600 gram of sand and you have to mix it well, and then you have to add water as per the consistency. You should have proper consistency, and then you have to pour that mortar. Okay, so mortar and the concrete is two different things. Mortar is basically mixing of cement and the sand, and concrete is mixing of cement, sand, and aggregate. Mortar is basically cement and sand, mixing of cement and sand, and concrete is basically mixing of cement, sand, aggregate, cement mixture. Okay, so here we add cement and the sand in the ratio of 1:3. So 200 grams cement, 600 grams sand, and we mix it well. First we do the dry mix proper way, and then we add water for proper consistency, and we pour it in a cube. The dimension of the cube normally comes 70.6 mm. So basically it is saying that the cross section of the cube, okay, if you see the top surface, that the area of the top surface of the cube is to come 5000 millimeters square. So if you cast it, and then we have to test it for 3 days, 7 days, 28 days. So in the case of 33 grade concrete, after 28 days the strength should be more than 33. For 43 grade concrete, after 28 days, strength of that cement, or the strength of the cube should be 43, more than 43. Now if you test it in 3 days and 7 days, 3 days strength should at least be nearly 40% strength. So in the 3 days, that cube should gain nearly 40% strength, and in 7 days it should get more than 50% strength. Okay, suppose you don't have much time, in that case you can conduct 3 days strength and 7 days strength. In that case, 3 days strength more should be more than 40%, and 7 days strength should be more than 50%. Okay, so this is the things are there for the different grade of cement. Okay, this is for normal conditions. So for if you want to have some special conditions, some unavoidable some circumstances, in that case you can use a special concrete. Next we have mineral admixture. First admixture is the pozzolana. Pozzolana is basically one type of cementinous material. Cementinous material in the sense it is basically aluminous or siliceous material. It used to come in powder form. What happens when cement react with the water? When the cement react with the water, in that case, it is to form CSH gel plus calcium hydroxide. Now, calcium hydroxide is a one, you can say, one byproduct, some undesirable chemical compound which present in the concrete. So when cement react with the water, it is to form CSH gel that give the strength, and one product calcium hydroxide, CaOH equal to. That is basically undesirable for us. Now what happen if you add pozzolanic material? Pozzolanas basically react with that CaOH, calcium hydroxide, okay, which was undesirable, and again it will produce CSH gel. So what he is doing initially, cement react with the water and it produce CSH gel plus calcium hydroxide. Now if you add pozzolana, pozzolana also will react with the CaOH and also produce additional CSH gel. So it will give more strength. Now if you add pozzolana, in that case basically what happened, it also increase the sulfate resistance, it also increase the sulfate resistance, also improve the leaching, and also improve the workability. So these are the some advantage is there of using pozzolana as a admixture. Okay, next is the fly ash. Fly ash is basically one byproduct of thermal power plant. A lot of fly ash is there, and many research is going on by substituting fly ash in the cement. There, what we used to do, we used to replace some percentage of cement and try to see how much strength we can get, whether we are losing some strength or gaining some strength, and what should be the limitation of replacement of fly ash in the cement. Another is the silica fume. Silica fume is basically one type of powder form. Its fineness is very high. Fume is a byproduct of silicon metal and silicon alloy. So those company produce silicon metal or alloy. There they used to get silica fume as a byproduct, where silica content is nearly 80% in the silica fume, and that also work as a pozzolanic material. So pozzolanic material is one material which has some binding property and react with the calcium hydroxide to produce additional CSH gel which give the strength. And next we have rice husk. So rice husk is nothing, basically the top part of that paddy rice, you can say top part of the rice, and if you burn it, and the rice husk also can be used as admixture in the cement. Another is the metakaolin. Metakaolin one type of admixture. Metakaolin is one type of clay. This clay also used to call as China clay. This metakaolin normally very fine. Fineness is very high, but its fineness is low in comparison to the silica fume, but it is high in comparison to the cement. And it also have some binding property. Normally metakaolin is used as a porcelain, and since it has some binding property, it normally used as some sort of admixture in the cement. So these are the things are there in the cement. Cement can be different grade, 43, 33, okay, and there we can use admixture. Now to notice, you will find IS code also have some recommendation on the admixture. This saying that if you add admixture, that should not impact the durability. It is saying that it should not affect the durability of the concrete and not combine with the constituent material to form some harmful compound. It is saying that it should not affect the durability, and it also should not react with the component of the cement, sand, or aggregate. Okay, component of the constituent material, in the sense component of the cement, sand, or aggregate. It should not react with this component and should not form another chemical compound. Okay, and they say admixture also should not increase the corrosion of the reinforcement. So basically admixture should be such that it does not react with the component of the cement. It also should not affect the durability. It also should not increase the corrosion of the reinforcement. Saying that if you are adding admixture, then you also should test the workability, compressive strength, and the slam loss. Okay, it also test that if you add admixture, what is this property, workability, compressive strength, slam loss, and with basically you have to test with admixture and without admixture, and you have to check how much effect is there for the workability, compressive strength, and the slam loss of the concrete. It is saying that if you are adding admixture, then chloride compound also should test independently. You will find in that code that chloride and sulfate is two major component which affect the strength or you can say performance of the concrete. You will find that chloride and the sulfate are the two compounds which affect the performance of the concrete. What happens if there is a high amount of sulfate present or sulfur present in the concrete? This is all. For the source of the sulfur may come from your water. Sulfur may be in the soil. So if you are placing a concrete or near the foundation concrete, okay, there will be chances of sulfate attack on the concrete. So what happens if sulfur present in the soil, water, or in aggregate also? There can be some percentage of sulfur. If sulfur present in the concrete, what happens in the long run? That this sulfur used to react with the cement paste. It react with the cement paste and used to form one chemical compound that is called intrinsight. Intrinsight, basically the full form of that compound is the calcium sulfoaluminate hydrate. That is basically expensive in nature. Expensive in the sense its volume is to change, its volume is to increase. Now what happens if volume increase? Okay, if the volume of the cement paste increase, there will be some tensile stress and concrete will fail. There will be crack on the concrete. So if you see this first figure here, if you see this first figure here, this figure you see that there is some gap. Okay, the crack is there. That is because of the sulfate present in the high amount sulfate present in the concrete. Now another major component is the chlorine. So what happens when chlorine present in the concrete? So again, source of the chlorine will be water, soil, and aggregate. But if the chlorine present in the concrete, if the percentage of chlorine is high, it is to react with reinforcement and corrosion is to occur. When corrosion is to occur, the reinforcement changes its volume increases, and also the reinforcement also losses its strength. Whatever the property was there, whatever the strength was there, the corrosion, the reinforcement is to lose the strength. So since the reinforcement is lost the strength, the, the concrete or reinforced concrete also loses the strength. So suppose you design for some strength and due to the corrosion of the reinforcement, the strength of the concrete reduced, so there is a high chance that will fail. Okay, there can be structural failure, or you sometimes also find that swelling of the concrete. So what happens when the reinforcement changes its volume, increases volume, there will be some tensile stress will develop. So if you see some tensile stress will develop, and the top part of that, or that you can say the top portion of the reinforcement, okay, that concrete which was there in the above the reinforcement, that is to fall. The swelling of the concrete, that is called, we are used to call swelling of the concrete, that used to happen. Now what happen in the when the concrete present in the when the chlorine present in the concrete, when the chlorine present in the concrete, okay, initially there is some passive layer between the reinforcement and the concrete. So when you place reinforcement in the concrete, you will see here there is some passive layer is to form, the white color layer. That is basically one passive layer. You can say protective layer in the concrete, protective layer in the reinforcement is to form. Now what happens when the chlorine percentage is more? Initially it react with the passive layer, and you will see here the bottom one, and it react with the started reaction with the reinforcement. Once it started reaction with reinforcement, and its volume changes and also reduce the strength. So once you reduce the strength and volume increases, there will be some tensile stress will be there in the concrete and concrete may fall. There will be some crack and suddenly the falling, some portion of the concrete may fall. It will find the sealing case, that in the sealing case some portion of the concrete, small portion of concrete is to fall, and you will find when it fall you will find that concrete is already corroded. The since the chlorine is to react with our reinforcement and is reducing the strength of the reinforcement as well as the creating damage or crack in the concrete. Okay, we should be careful of the chlorine content present in the concrete and the sulfate content present in the concrete. Since chlorine and the sulfate are two major components which affect the performance of the concrete, we should be careful about the percentage of chlorine and percentage of sulfur present in the concrete.